Well, here it is. Once again, it's time for the Inside EMS podcast. It seems like I have the same opening every week. I may need to come up with a different opening. But no, shake your head. But you see him there. So it's best that I introduce him. If you're watching us on video, you can see he's wearing his hat and he's back with us. If you're not checking us out on video, check us out at EMS1 Video on YouTube. But here he is with some big news we're going to talk about, but don't spoil it yet, KG. Kelly Grayson, what's going on?
Oh man, just living the dream. Writing and toiling away, slaving away at a hot keyboard day after day after day, and doing that sort of thing. Trialing a couple of products for EMS1, where I'll write those up on my column. That's going to be pretty neat to use that on patients, but we'll talk about that when the time comes.
That's right. And I do want a Cecil the Combat Wombat shirt. So you need to get into the merch so we can now start
we're going to have
selling the merch of Cecil the Combat Wombat.
We're going to have Cecil the Combat Wombat challenge coins. We'll have a unit patch for the cool. First Engineers Detachment, drop 20 and roll for damage. We'll have Battle of Waffle House and Siege of Waffle House challenge coins and merch and stuff as well for fans of the Waffle House, the Scattered, Smothered, and Spellbound universe, and the Cecil the Combat Wombat universe.
Very cool. Well, we'll talk a little bit about the book at the end. I think it's just something we did a really good show on. Everybody's got a book title in them, Kelly. That was a few,
and we got some good titles too.
We got some good titles. We got some people who said, I want you to help us with my book that we're working on as well. And we just want to touch a little bit more on that and give a little bit more insight if people are really serious about it. But one of the things that I think was really interesting is what happens. This is what we want to talk about today, is what happens when you decide to change jobs and you have to now prepare for something new. So Kelly Grayson, you've been working in Louisiana for about 325 years now. And you have a really long tenure with your current employer. But the news is, and maybe I don't break it. Why don't you break the news to everybody out there in inside EMS land?
Okay. Well, I as Chris alluded to, I have been a critical care paramedic for Acadian Ambulance in Southwest Louisiana for 15 years. Been an EMS for 30 years. All of that in Louisiana, although I'm also licensed as a paramedic in Texas. But I'm about to make a big change. Starting August the 7th, I will be the lead instructor for the new CoAEMSP-accredited paramedic program at Clarkson University in Pottstown, New York, upstate New York. So looking forward to that. It's going to be a wonderful change of pace. People tell me, oh man, get rid of the get ready for the snow, man. It's just going to be frigid up there. And I'm like, dude, I'm a big fat dude. It's like I'm wearing a fur coat in the summertime. I welcome a little snow. I welcome a lot of snow. I have seen snow before. I am a Louisiana native, but I've actually been in it before, and I don't mind it. I love cold weather. So looking forward to it.
You're going to get it, man. You're going to get it. But, so we thought we'd take this opportunity that Kelly has, and let's talk about what we need to know to switch jobs and to prepare for a new employer. Because we all do it, right? We don't really stay where we are forever. And 15 years is a long time to have tenure with a company. But let me ask you this question first, Kelly. I mean, so you've been happy with your employer relatively, right? You have a good employer. They take good care of you. You have been critical of your dispatch center, which we won't get into. But
I think every paramedic and EMT is critical of their dispatch center in some ways. And dispatch centers probably are critical of the field crews as well. So that's not unusual.
But let's talk about, what was your motivation to look for a new position, and especially one that's going to relocate you into one of the best states in the world?
Well, it's I harken back to your lessons about emotional intelligence and being introspective and seeing things in yourself, and I've reached a certain level of burnout where a change of pace is necessary. I've always joked throughout my career that I teach until I start to hate students, and then I work on a truck until I start to hate patients, and back and forth. And that's been my secret to career longevity. But with the recent health scare, and the level of mental and emotional fatigue I'm going through, I figured it was a time for a change of pace and to still stay in the profession that I've dedicated my life to. So I'm going to be teaching, and I think it's going to be good for my physical health. My girlfriend cooks healthy meals instead of the convenience store diet that I adhere to now. I'll be able to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, go home at a predictable hour, and not be woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go drive 5 miles and turn around and come back. It'll be a welcome change of pace. And I've always had a passion for teaching, and I've always said, it would be nice if I could be on the ground floor of building a program from the ground up. And this is the ideal opportunity for me. So I can't wait to get started at Clarkson.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really cool. And you are the quintessential EMS educator, one of the best, I think, in the United States.
Thank you.
Probably fifth, I think, if we have to guess. We put probably our good friend Dan Limmer up there, and then I think
Yeah.
there's
Well,
Chris Saballero, I think, has a good background in
when I grow
EMS
up, I want to be
education.
Dan Limmer or Dan Batesy, but the problem
Yeah.
is I don't know if I'm ever going to grow up. So
That's
that's
the problem
the
too,
obstacle.
man. Yeah. So that's the big thing. But anyway, so when we think about, your move, and I guess you say your girlfriend cooks. So if she's going to travel with you to New York, you probably should marry her. Nancy, you
Yeah,
listening?
you
Kelly
know,
wants to marry you.
hey man, someone twist her arm. I think I'm gonna have to be on good behavior for a little
Oh,
while
okay. All right. Well, we'll work on
before
that
she
then. Work
says
on the.
that's what she says. I think I'm on probation. I'll have to be on good behavior for a little while.
All
I'll
right.
show that I'm marriageable material.
So we
So
won't interfere then anymore there. But all right. So now, Kelly, as you think about this, you have to leave your position, right? And we always talk about we don't want to burn
mhm.
bridges. We want to make sure that we leave good, strong relationship. As you
Yep.
now transition in the next 3 weeks, I guess you'll give some notice, you'll do your shifts, and then you'll transition to your. What are the things that you want to be able to do in your current role as you start to depart them, and give them the continued loyalty you've given them for 15 years?
Well, I don't want to leave Acadian in a bad place. And unfortunately, to leave is to leave them in a bad place, because I work a station that is hard to staff, and paramedics are everybody is suffering from a paramedic shortage. So when we lose a longtime member of the workforce, it hurts, and I hate to be the one to do that. The best I could do was give them notice as early as I could, and I gave them notice a week ago. So I actually gave notice at Acadian before the formal offer came from Clarkson. I had to.
That was a roll of the dice there, wasn't it?
It was a leap of faith. It was a leap of faith, yes, but it was a justified leap of faith as well. And Acadian, when they hired me, took a chance, because at the time I had a fairly extensive national audience as an EMS advocate and a blog and podcast and whatnot, and I was a known quantity, and people who've read my blog and listened to our podcast know that I have certain strong opinions on things, and I'm not shy about vocalizing those opinions. So there was some question on management's part whether I would be a good fit for Acadian. Wasn't any question in my mind. I wouldn't have applied to them if I didn't think they'd be a good fit for me. And my philosophy has always been that if you're going to work for a place, you may not agree with everything, every policy, but if you sign on the dotted line, you're bound to follow those policies. And that's one reason I fit in well with Acadian. I don't have a problem. If I make a commitment to a place, I'll follow their rules cheerfully. One reason I haven't ever lobbied for a position as a white shirt is because not only do you have to follow those rules, you have to enforce them, and with some degree of cheerful enthusiasm. And some of them I don't believe in. That is a case where anywhere you work.
You're such a baby. You're such a baby.
But they, I really cannot complain. My only or my dissatisfaction with anything in my current role has more to do with my this point in my career arc than it
Yeah.
does with management. And they've been it's a great place to work, really great place to work. They let you grow. They pay you a fair wage, a very fair wage in my case, give you good equipment and let you do your job without handcuffs. And I can render no higher praise for an EMS agency than to say that they let me do my job without handcuffs. And
Yep.
their overriding question whenever I've made a clinical decision that say disagree or didn't exactly follow their protocols, their overriding question was it good for the patient?
Yeah.
Was it
Good.
well thought out? Was it good for the patient? And that's, you can't wish for better as a clinician.
Yeah. And I
So,
think that you have you've talked about them very well over the years as well. So this is very consistent.
mhm.
And the time that you've spent with them, it seems that they've been an awesome organization to work for. So now, as you
Yes.
start this transition, Kelly, you're actually changing. I mean, you're a consummate instructor. You're a consummate professional. You
Mhm.
love being able to teach people. You have a knack for doing it. But you're coming out of the truck now, and you're going
Yeah.
into a different position. What's your mindset now of having to change from delivering care to teaching the next generation who's going to be delivering care? You and I have talked about the challenges in EMS education for years and years now, but
Yeah.
what's your mindset now to move from that of a clinician to that of a full-time professor? I'm going to call you professor.
Yeah. You call me Professor
I'm
Grayson.
not going to
That's
call you
fine.
doctor though, because I'm working on my
No,
doctorate,
well, give
and I'm
give
going to
me a
wait for you to
chance. Give
call
me a
me
few years.
doctor.
Um, well, first of all, I'm going to have to be more regimented in my time management. Um, when you go to work as a medic, you know what you're going to be doing for the next 24 hours. You don't plan anything for the next 24 hours, and what I plan works around my days off. So I'm going to have a more regimented schedule, and we're building a program from the ground up. There's already an EMT program in place there, but we're building a paramedic program that our first cohort starts in November and graduates next August. So it's going to be all hands in the cook, and that's going to be a challenge. It's going to test my organizational skills in working with our program director, Doug Wildermuth, and the consultants we've hired to help us build this program, how to structure it and how to do it well. But the philosophy behind building this program is something I can get on board with. They're all about experiential learning and shifting the paradigm in EMS education away from just traditional classroom and lecture format and lab format and that sort of thing. And I'm anxious to be a part of that. But mindset mainly. Now I'm not totally getting away from the truck. Clarkson wants their people to maintain clinical proficiency, and not necessarily be someone who has left the street behind and isn't in touch with current clinical practices and the people that are out there on the trucks. So I'll find some rescue squad that needs a medic part-time, but the nice thing is I'll work a truck when I want to work a truck rather than when I have to work a truck.
Yeah.
That'll be nice.
All right, cool. So when now you take this position, and you've kind of laid out a little bit of that you're developing it from the ground up,
Yeah.
and you're kind of going to spearhead as the leader of the program. I mean, what's your approach going to be? How do you now develop a program that has to be up in what, 4 months,
Yeah.
and now have to graduate them this time next year?
Whew, we're going to find out. That's for darn sure. We have a consultant who is the program is hired prior to me, who has a proven accelerated paramedic program that he has had good success with in the past, and he is working on implementing that program at Clarkson. I will be doing the majority of the instruction and will be involved in working with hand in hand with this consultant in developing the curricula. But most of the groundwork is laid. And that was something else that was very attractive to me as well. I'm not building, I'm not starting from scratch yet. I'm in early enough that I can have some influence over how, tailor the curriculum to my strong suits and what I think works best and whatever. So lesson design, and how I implement experiential learning in the curriculum, and how we structure a flipped classroom. We'll be doing a flipped classroom, and we'll be doing hybrid education. That's the nice thing about this program, is just about everything is also distance learning enabled. Every classroom we use, every lab we use has video link connections, which necessary, because in the dead of winter there are going to be days when either I or the students won't be able to make it out of their house and down the road to the campus. So we may be doing some of this stuff over a Zoom connection. So planning around that and making sure that this is a viable program is going to be the challenge. But I'm looking forward to it. I've done it in Louisiana with far less. With EMT and advanced EMT programs, I've done exactly what I'll be doing at Clarkson, with far less resources and support, and done it successfully. So it'll be nice to work in a university system that the Lewis School of Health Sciences at Clarkson, the dean there is very committed to what we're trying to do. And they share a focus and commitment on bringing affordable EMS education to rural communities. And that's the vast majority of the students in the program are from rural upstate New York communities, in places where there's significant EMT shortages. So we're trying to hit exactly where the holes are in the workforce, and to plug that hole.
Very cool. Maybe since it's a college, they could work with you on being a little bit more succinct when you talk, because I've been trying to get a word
perhaps
in.
Perhaps they could. Well, yeah, no, but I've been doing the same with you for 10 years now, man.
So, but let me ask you this. I mean, so let's switch gears a little bit. So it sounds like, we've given a lot of thought to leaving an employer and, transitioning to a new employer, and the things that we need to be able to think about. But if we can put this in the tips for the workers or for the listeners, because they're going to go ahead and move to new positions as well. So we've already talked about, we never want to burn a bridge. I mean, even if you hate the place you work, you never know that you may have to go back to them one day and say, are you looking for any help? You want to be able to say goodbye to the people and be as charming as you could be when you leave, right? But when you think about this from the tips of transitioning to a new job, and I'm sure you've had to sit there and kind of lay out 1, 2, 3, 4, especially if you're moving states, right? What kind of tips do you give the listeners?
Career-wise, make yourself valuable to prospective employers. If you're not happy where you are, you can make a good living at EMS. You can have career satisfaction in EMS. You might not be able to have those things at the place you are currently. And I'm not saying I was not satisfied or paid well educating an ambulance. So the opposite is true. However, there are plenty of EMTs and paramedics out there that are in bad situations and they're not appreciated. And what have we said for years, Chris? Vote with your feet. If you stay at those organizations, they'll fail eventually because they can't keep people. Get good people, focus on being a good EMT or medic, and getting the things, the skills, the certifications, the attitude that is attractive to prospective employers. And God knows it's an employee's market right now. I mean, everybody needs EMTs. You can pick and choose and look for your slot. You just have to make yourself attractive. And, I don't have all the I had a wallet full of certifications.
Kelly, how do you do that? How do you make yourself valuable to an organization?
Well, first of all, you want to have the certificates on the wall, the credentials, the cards, and that sort of thing. The other thing is maybe a body of work is helpful. And I have been blessed in that EMS One and EMS World and gyms and other places have given me a forum to write and to speak, and many EMS conferences around the country have given me those. And I didn't fall into this. I beat the shook the trees. And people gave me a chance early on. And then that's one of the things that, like EMS, is EMS One has been very good to new authors and new EMS advocates and that sort of thing, giving them a shot to get their voices heard and to build a brand.
Yeah.
And that worked in my favor in this case. Also, part of building a brand is sometimes your brand is a turn off. And I'm fully aware that some agencies, prospective employers, are not jazzed about the Kelly Grayson type. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Well, I'm not a good, it's about being a good fit.
I'm with you as well, man. I mean, there are people out there that love Chris Cebollero. There are other people who don't prefer him, but those are the people that we don't need to talk about, right? But one of the things that I talk about with my coaching clients all the time is the opportunity to is the ability to create opportunity, right? So when you talk about build a body of work, it really has to be able to get back to the point of saying, for you to be successful, you have to be able to ensure that you're doing what needs to be done to build the opportunities for your success.
Yes.
And that's really what it comes down to, is your opportunity to create success. And there's something to that. They say that opportunity only knocks once, but just because opportunity knocks doesn't mean you're ready to answer the door. And you have to be able to be ready, but you've got to be able to create your own opportunities for your own success, right? So, I mean, what do you think about that?
I agree exactly. And one of the things that I've done in recent years is get my degree. Partly because I have long advocated that a degree requirement for paramedics should be a minimum. We should have a minimum degree requirement to become a paramedic in the United States, and I didn't have one. I had all the hours, I just didn't have the parchment. So I went and got one. And had I not had that degree, I wouldn't have qualified for this opportunity when it came knocking. And the nice thing is it will this opportunity will allow me to continue my education and get more degrees. So education wise and getting those credentials is important. What do they say? You dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And all the Batman suits were rented, so I had to actually, walk the walk when it comes to education and credentialing and whatnot, and get the things that I espouse that a professional paramedic should have. So
yeah, very cool, man. I mean, I think that's a lot of great stuff, and we wish you the best of luck. I'm sure as you go on, we're going to be talking about your new role and the lessons learned, because we're going to be able to pick this discussion back up and be able to give more tips. But I did want to take some time and give you kudos on your short stories. I talked about my shirt, Cecil the Combat Wombat, and just now, recently on the 25th of June, you had another release of a short story, and give us a little bit about that.
Yeah. It was the second entry in the Scattered, Smothered, and Spellbound universe. It's about a supernatural internal security corps for Waffle House. They keep the peace and among the supernatural entities that frequent Waffle House. And the first story was the Battle of Waffle House 814, and the second one was the story of one of their original recruiters, a character named Tully Roberts, named after a friend of mine. So this one was called They Called Me Tully, and how he became a Marine Force Recon Staff Sergeant with the unique ability of telepathy, and became a senior recruiter for WHISC, the Waffle House Internal Supernatural Security Corps. So it's a fun little romp. I got to write a little middle sci-fi in there, and transition from writing, battle scenes in Vietnam to high fantasy where you rescue a fairy queen, and now you're recruiting for a supernatural security corps. It's like it's like the Dirty Dozen or the Expendables. Only these people have supernatural abilities along the lines of the Dungeons and Dragons character classes: bards, sirens, clerics, monks, that sort of thing. I'm gonna redshirt you in a story.
Yeah, what you've been saying about that forever, man. I need to get.
I don't know. I haven't thought of a suitably gruesome and horrific death for you,
Man,
but when I do, you'll.
How about that ostrich story you once told?
That would that's true, but that already happened. So I'll have to come up with another one. But I've got another story coming out in early August. That is the third or the second installment in the Cecil the Combat Wombat. Cecil the Combat Wombat is an uplifted sentient wombat who works as a covert subterranean marsupial in Australia's armed forces. And the first one was Cecil the Combat Wombat, the Battle of Wombea Caverns, and the next one is Cecil the Combat Wombat, the Warrumbungle campaign, where I introduce sexy, uplifted mongooses, or mongoose as they're called, into the story. And there will be another Battle of Waffle House.
Yeah, well,
there's Siege of Waffle House 1347 comes out toward the end of this month.
You just love the wombats and the Waffle House. So there is
people ask me for more of them. Say, man, you need to write more in this universe. So it's like, okay, I just, I have a few beers, and it comes to me as if in a dream.
Yeah, very cool. So if people want to contribute to your retirement, where do they find these books?
They will find them on my author page, Stephen Kelly Grayson at Amazon.com. Just do a search and it'll come up on my author page. And the second volume of my EMS memoirs is coming out the 28th of this month. It is available for pre-order now. No, you'll be in the third one. You'll be in the third one. This is the second 10 years of my EMS career, and the last edition of it will be end of tour, and it'll probably be slated for late 2024, early 2025, and it'll be the last 10 years of my EMS career.
I would think that after 10 years of being partners, I get my whole chapter. I get my own chapter.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna be woven throughout and interspersed and everything. Okay. It's just
all right, good.
So we'll tell amusing Chris Cebollero anecdotes throughout.
There's a lot of things we talk about that we can't air, so that's something
that's true. That is.
But
true.
Anyway, let's go ahead and get ready, and we'll get ready for our next show next week, and let's end this one.
Yeah. So, guys, there are great EMS jobs out there. There are education jobs. There are management jobs. You have to make yourself attractive to those. And I know sometimes that's easier said than done, but the most valuable tool in your toolbox is perseverance and a good attitude. Don't let a bad work situation that you're in right now keep you from becoming a better medic and a better person. And eventually you'll find a place that values those things. But you've heard what we think about it. We'd like to hear what you think about it. Give us drop us a line at the show at ems1.com. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes and watch our video cast on YouTube, and go to Kelly Grayson's author page on Amazon and buy those books, and buy me that swanky double wide I've had my eye on for so long. Only this time that double wide will be in upstate New York. Thanks for tuning in to Inside EMS. Going to catch you guys next week.